Guy, so lovely to see you. I always enjoy seeing your smiling face because no matter what's going on, you always have a very positive outlook. And I think that's part of the DNA of the Travel Corporation to a degree, talking about how travel really changes people, brings down borders. And I kind of want to get a bit of a sense from you. What's going on right now in the world is quite intense and heavy, So, how do you approach travel and how do you talk about it, knowing what's going on in the world?
Well, first of all, thanks, Nina. It's great to see you as always as well. You always got your big smiling face up. It's mutual. Yeah, well, first of all, I think one has to remain positive. There's so much that happens every year with travel that I think if you don't remain positive, it's very hard to get through travel year on year because there's always something somewhere in the world, especially when, like the Travel Corporation, we're such a global operator. There's definitely a slowdown in travel, but people are still traveling. I think that's
Yeah.
important. And what we found in a lot of our research and looking at the data is that there's still inquiries, people are still interested in travel. But there's a bit more hesitancy. And that could be around, inflation, economic woes, and certainly around all the geopolitical issues going around the world. But we believe that there's enough business out there, there's enough interest for people to travel that we can still have a very successful 2024. So we remain, despite all the challenges, we do remain optimistic for next year.
Now you have a tour that's called Making Travel Matter. So that's right up Popo. Can you tell us about that in particular?
100%. So I think, as you know, for the Travel Corporation, sustainability is at the core of what we
Yeah.
do. And we have a 5-year strategy, which we call How We Tread Right. And we've got 11 goals embedded in that strategy. And I'd encourage your viewers to go to treadright.org. They can read all about our strategy and our progress we're making. But certainly one of the key goals, it's goal number 7 within our strategies, to have these make travel matter experiences. And our goal in our strategy was to have at least one make travel matter experience on 50% of our itineraries by 2025. So I'm super pleased and excited to announce that for 2024, for Trafalgar, Insight, and Luxury Gold, we'll have at least one make travel matter experience on every single itinerary for 2024, which is amazing. So well ahead of what our goal was. And that's because we have a superb team that's doing all the contracting, and they've worked really hard to find these really amazing, wonderful experiences. And just for your viewers, I mean, really, our Make Travel Matter experiences are conscious-driven experiences where we go into the destination and we try to find experiences that we are benefiting either the local community or the local businesses. Another thing I should mention is that all of our Make Travel Matter experiences are tied to one of the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. It doesn't cost the guests anything more, and it's obviously a great benefit to the local businesses and communities. And it's also something that our guests really, really enjoy and they feel good about doing these experiences. We talked about in the beginning about being positive and how the Travel Corporation approaches our business. But I do think it's this whole thing around sustainability and making a positive impact in the places we visit is so important. Obviously, make travel matter experience are core to what we do now within our itineraries. But another thing I want to sort of highlight, and I think is worth mentioning, is we at the Travel Corporation now, one of our big objectives for 2024 is to really try to promote off-season travel, particularly to Europe.
Right.
Because I think, as you know, and you've seen all the images, I mean, 2023, both from, the number of people that actually travel to Europe, the overcrowding, the heat waves across the continent was really very difficult and challenging. And what we hear from our partners more than anything else is, please bring us travelers in the off season. And so we now focusing a lot of our marketing around trying to drive the sort of off season and non-peak times such as April and October.
Yeah.
And in fact, for 2024, we made the decision not to contract any additional capacity in the peak season, but we really want to try encourage people to travel in April and October. March is still great in Europe. I will say personally, in the last 2 years, I traveled to Barcelona in February of last year, and this year I traveled to Paris in April with the family. and it was amazing. We had fantastic weather. We had blue sky and sunshine. Now, my mother says I always bring sunshine where I go. That's my mother, of course. But I can't guarantee you'll have blue sky and sunshine. But, the temperature was in the low teens in the morning and late at night.
Paris in the springtime. I mean,
Yeah, it was
it just sounds so
beautiful.
romantic.
And less crowded
Yeah.
and much better value. So we really want to try and encourage people to travel off season. I think it's great for the traveler. It's great for the agent. I mean, their clients will thank them because it'll be a much better experience. The value is much better. So that's really one of our key objectives for 2024 is to try really promote travel outside of our peak season in Europe.
Now that you've brought all of the product under the umbrella of, one sales account manager for a certain region in Canada, is that facilitating helping agents pick and choose which type of product to sell to which client?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up. Two key messages for this year. We make travel matter, which we covered a little bit just now. The other one is that we have tours for any and everyone. So absolutely, within our portfolio, we cater to every possible travel style and demographic. So, we can start off with Contiki, which is obviously our youth brand. It's a great brand to introduce Gen Z travelers to. And then hopefully they can move up the pipeline with the other brands. But we've got a budget brand with Cost Saver. We've got a value brand with Trafalgar. We've got a premium brand with Insight. And of course, we've got our high-end brand or our luxury brand with Luxury Gold. And so we really, I mean, if an agent has a client that wants to take a tour, whether it be to Europe, where I think we're very well known as a Europe specialist, but we have great itineraries outside of Europe as well.
Right.
We really do cater to every possible demographic and travel style. So, and I think the other great thing, Nina, you referenced the reorg we did, is now we have all of our brands under one umbrella.
Yeah.
And you can go to our travel agent portal and you can research information across all of our brands. So you can search, by destination. You can get all of our marketing material. You can find out about what fan trips we have available, our promotional offers. It's all under one portal, our travel agent portal. So it's really easy. And that portal is agents.ttc.com. So we make it really easy, one single sign-on. So we've really tried to make it really easy. And again, as you mentioned, we do have a tour for any and everyone.
I'm curious, Guy, outside of Europe, what are you seeing that's hot right now? Is Africa, Australia? Where are you seeing the market shift to?
Looking forward to 2024, Japan is doing extremely well for us.
Oh, okay.
Very, very strong. And some of these non-Europe destinations, Nina, they've been a bit slow to recover from COVID. I mean, Europe had a big year this year, but we expect Japan to have a big year next year. Certainly Australia, New Zealand, we've got a lot of interest in those destinations. And I suspect just given everything that's happening globally, and also from a pricing standpoint, we also expect our domestic Canada and US, our North American trips to do very well. So the one thing I will say is that we've always been known as a really strong Europe specialist. And I would say that today, probably 85% of our business is concentrated in Europe, but we do an amazing job outside of Europe. And in fact, all of the destinations we travel to, we either have our own operations, which would certainly be the case in North America. In Africa, we have a big infrastructure in Africa. But where we don't have our own operations, we've worked with our partners for years. And they're amazing partners. The delivery is superb. And quite frankly, the ratings we get are just as good on a par with what we do in Europe. So we'd love agents to give the Travel Corporation more consideration for these non-Europe destinations, for sure.
Makes so much sense. Yeah. Guy, before I let you go, if I were a client coming to you, and I know that's not your job, but you're just so good at it, what kind of questions would you ask me and how would you slot me into the huge array of choices that you offer?
So you personally, I'd put you straight up at Luxury Gold because you're obviously no. I mean, that's one of the things we've really tasked our sales managers with when they talk into our travel agent partners, and I'd suggest in turn the travel agents do the same thing with their clients. Is we have a consultative sales process. So we really try to ask a lot of key questions to understand, kind of what the agents need in their business. And I suggest the agent needs to do that with their client. So I think every client you have to ask a lot of questions to try to find out exactly where they want to travel, what kind of their travel style is, where they've traveled in the past, to get a good feel with what would be the right brand to put them on. And if I can just quickly say, for our travel agent partners, we do have a great sheet now where we have all of our 6 brands listed, and we have kind of our key selling points for each of the brands, and also kind of the persona or the type of client that we think would be best.
Brilliant.
So maybe we can post it on OpenDraw, and hopefully the agents can download that.
Look down, and we will have that spreadsheet for you as a reference, because that sounds brilliant. I love it. Everybody should do that, of course.
No, and it's a great visual. And the one thing I'd also mention is that, we do have we have a global tour rewards program, which is our past guest rewards program, and it does cut across all of our touring brands. So if you travel on Trafalgar, for example, you choose to take an Insight trip, you can access a 5% discount and all the benefits that we have with our global tour rewards program. So it does go across all the brands. So a good incentive to stay within the family.
Thank you, Guy, for that overview. I'm always very incentivized myself to travel after we speak, because everything that you have to offer just is inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate the time. And thanks again to all of our wonderful agents in Canada for the great support and partnership.
Right. Indeed.
Thank you.